Hi, everyone. I am Tara, aka Spirit Mother, and I would like to welcome you all back to my channel on YouTube, Spirit to Spirit Teaching Going Within Self, on TikTok, 1974 Enlightened Soul, and I'm also live on my Facebook. If you're new to my channel, I always recommend, suggest, and really encourage you read the description on my YouTube channel, Spirit to Spirit Teachings of Going Within Self, to get a better understanding of what it is that I bring forward on my channel. As I state many times, if you're not new to my channel, you know that I come in and talk about a bunch of different things. I bring a lot of different things to the table. Okay. Uh, just about an hour, 2 hours ago, I was already live and I did a video about family doctors and walk-in clinics. And I'm back in now because for a bit I've been wanting to talk about adoptions. Okay. And the reason why I'm talking about adoptions is because I've been going through this a lot myself. I'm not adopted, but my oldest son, my parents adopted, okay? Because I was 15 when I had him. And throughout the years, like my one of my older sisters, they say that I would always say that I gave my parents mom and dad and that they never had. But she would always say that she said that I would use it as a way to get my own way, to get my own way, and say, well, even the son they never had, and it was never in that context. Context. I did say that I gave them the son they never had, but it wasn't because, or for me to get my own way, because I never got my own way. I actually, after the adoption, when about less than a month after the adoption was finalized, I left, and it was like I kind of shut everything out of my mind, and I had been having suspicions of whether or not the adoption was real or whether I had been had. And just recently, I was shown the documents. I still have my own questions with regards to, like, why did I leave home? Because it wasn't because I wasn't getting my own way. Okay. But I left home less than a month after, because it was on the 26th of one month, and the 18th of the following month was when I left home, and I left a note for my parents. Don't try contacting me. I will contact you when I'm ready. Now, throughout time, like, things, and then a lot of things transpired. Okay. So whether you're the one that was adopted or you're the one that put the child up for adoption, it has an effect on you. Okay. Especially if you didn't know that you were adopted and later found out. And with me, like, my oldest, he knew that he was adopted from the time he was little. But see, the thing is, what made everything confusing, especially for myself, was all titles changed. I became the sister, but never referred to myself as the sister. And I just kept, it was like I kept running. And I had people in my family, one would say, like, you're not his mother. And it was really hard. From experience with regards to adoptions, especially when the person is young and the parents or a family member is adopting the child and people know about it. It's see, I know certain people in my family are going to be irritated with me talking about this, but you know, whatever. I don't care anymore. It's been bothering me for quite some time. My aunt, she told me that what my mom did to me was wrong and that this is my demon. And she's not wrong. See, I lost my place, and what I encourage, like especially if it's a parent, like if it's parents adopting their child or their child's child, don't change the titles because it's really confusing. And the one, like myself, I from that I felt like I had no place in the family. It was I felt like I got kept being pushed away because I wasn't allowed to have any say to help my oldest. If there's going to be that type of thing, I recommend that it be a guardianship. My mom wanted to adopt him because my grandmother looked after her grandson for, I guess it was like 7 years. And then the mother came back and took him, and what my mom was afraid of. See, today I had a like I really had a flip it. I screamed and I found out that I'm really angry with my mom. I love her, but I'm angry with her because of how things transpired. Because I know my mom wasn't happy. And I know there's other people that can relate. And one of my sisters would say, "Well, you go on there and you tell your life story. You tell all about us and what happened." Well, it's because people need to have that person that can relate to them and understand where they're coming from, to know that they're not alone. So if those people get irritated with this, that's on them. But one time I took and I did a video and I put it on a CD for my oldest son. It was like I don't know if I just gave it to him as as a gift, or I can't remember if it was just as a gift or if it was a birthday gift or what have you. But I did this video and I put it on a CD and I took and I went and I bought a fancy box and I put it in the box and it was Pandora's box. And he would be able to use it for just to put, his medicinal stuff in it, stuff he uses. Okay. But in that box, I had a CD. And on that CD, explained to him what happened. I explained to him that I didn't want to put him up for an adoption. I didn't want him going away from me. And I give it to someone to give to him. I give it to my mom to give to him. And, it was strange because I don't even know if he really got it because after that, I ended up seeing the box that I put the CD in. I ended up seeing it at my sister's place, my younger sister's place, and she told me that he had given it to her. But I don't understand why he would give this nice box to her, because I mean, he could have just threw the CD out and kept the box. But for some reason, she ended up with the box and she said, well, he didn't want it, so he gave it to me. This is just how I feel. I wonder if he even got it, because it was this sister who would tell me that he's not your son. And when my son, oldest son, wanted, like, my mom always told him that if you want it later down the road, if you wanted to meet your biological father, she would help him find him. But we were up in another province and he had been using my computer, and I found out that he had been looking for his biological father. But I didn't say anything. About a year two later, I ended up finding his biological father on Facebook. And he and I had a conversation, like we were on the phone for like more than 12 hours talking. And he was saying, like, he should have made it work. He should have been the father. Because on the birth certificate, my mom had me put that the father was unknown, which, that didn't look good on me, because being 15 and, saying that I don't know who the father is, that kind of played on me. But his father wanted to see him, because the day that I got out of the hospital, after having him, his father, his biological father, showed up at the hospital. But I didn't know that he was coming, and his mother and him wanted to give some clothes, baby clothes, but my mom wouldn't allow. And some of my family members may say, well, that didn't happen at all. Well, yeah, it did, because I even received a letter from him in the beginning of it. And my mom made me read the letter in front of her, and then she took the letter from me. See, when I found out I was pregnant, and my mom and I, we were like sitting at the table talking, she asked me what I was going to do, and I said, well, I'm not having an abortion. And she said, no, your father don't want you doing that. And one of my sisters will say that mom didn't say this to me at all, but my mom told me that I had to give him up for an adoption to a stranger, or allow them to adopt him. But the sister would say that didn't happen, but it did, because she wasn't there. No one was there when my mom and I was talking. My mom had called after we found out that I was pregnant. My mom had called, and this sister answered, and my mom asked how I was doing, and my sister told her that I wasn't doing very well, because I was 14 and a half when I found out I was pregnant. I was 14 and a half when I got pregnant, and 3 months later, I found out I was pregnant. So my mom come home, and the sister, she left, she was gone. My mom and I, we were sitting at the table when she said this. And my dad, he come home, and we were sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like, he bursted out in tears. And I told him I was sorry. And he told me I didn't have to be sorry. I remember that I was I was late. I was due on one day, and it was like 5 days later, and my mom had me up walking around and just doing everything for her because we were trying to induce get my labor going. 4:30 in the morning, I woke up, and that's when it started. And my mom had me walking around and what have you. And when it come time, my mom went into my dad and he was like, she said his name, and Tara's got to go to the hospital. Well, can't she wait? No. And I was excited. But I didn't know that later on it was going to eat at me like this, watching him grow up and not being able to help him. And people say, well, you're just like Tara. It's like, hey, man, my kids need to be proud that they're like me. Because there's nothing wrong with that. So it was after I found his biological father and I had contacted my mother. And after this, that's when I give him the CD. I contacted my mother and I told my mother I found him. And from what I understand, my mom went in and told him, Tara found your father. And it was later down the road. It was in 2009. Gone to I had gone to Alberta for medical treatment. My ex-husband and I, we went up. So my mom and dad was looking after my son and our dogs. And while I was gone, it was my youngest son who told me what happened. My oldest son ended up telling my mom that he met his biological father. And my mother went off the rails. She went and locked herself in the car. And my youngest sister told my mom, basically, I guess, she told my mom that I was a fucking idiot and they should take my dogs to the SPCA. And do I believe my youngest son? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Because after that day, that's when the relationship with my oldest son and I went down the shitter. Because a year prior to that, when I was in Alberta, he'd come up to Alberta. I paid for his ticket to get up to Alberta and everything. And like he would come into the room and they were using my car to take him to ball because he wanted to be in the major leagues. And he would have made a damn good ball player. Damn good ball player. He was trying to get followed by a scout. And it didn't work out because we couldn't stay. We didn't really have the money. But like he and I, we all went out one night, and him and I, we were playing pool, and what there he was of age, so I bought him some drinks, and we all went back to my hotel, and he was carrying on. I had this candle that had dripped. No word of a lie. It was like, who is it with the long tongue, the really long tongue? Not Alice Cooper. Gene Simmons, one of them. Okay. They had the long tongue, and he put it in his mouth and had stick it out, ah, and he had a dill pickle. It was really funny. But after that happened with my mom locking herself in the car and everything, and my sister saying that I was an effing idiot, and now to this day, my sister, when I'm like, she'll look right at me when she's introducing him and my oldest son, and she'll look right at me, and then she'll look at me, just, and this is my brother. It's like that that hits, okay? And I know it's meant to hit. My youngest sister and I, we don't have the greatest relationship. And my oldest son went through things. And, the way I look at it is, how would my youngest sister like it if I went and gave alcohol or drugs to her son? I don't think she'd like it very much. So when you have an interfamily adoption, it has a huge impact. See, being around him and not being able to say anything while I'm seeing what's happening, I feel powerless when that power should never have been taken away from me. And see, things went downhill because where my mom wasn't happy, my mom kept running away. My mom kept going up to her mother's place. And I've been up there and I've seen that, they never they never spoke to her very well. If like and like if there was ever like holidays and you were there or there was a meal or something like that, mom, like especially with meat, because mom didn't have access to a lot of meat, she would round her plate up with food. And they would say about get Sandra a hubcap. But see, I could say about one of my uncles who used to put the plate up to his mouth and go like that. But I watched them criticize her. And when my grandmother was dying from cancer, my mom was smoking one after another. And my great aunt was ignorant to her. They would say about her smoking. But see, they would never say anything like that to my grandmother. And my grandmother would light one cigarette right after another. She would eat at times. She would have one cigarette going in one hand and lighting the other before the other one was out. And I could never understand why she kept running it. But she would leave my son, she would leave him home every time. And she would go weeks on end. And they would never tell her, like, Sandra, or, well, I said her name. They never told her, like, you should go home. And I don't have a good relationship with any of my family, especially on that side. because I always got treated like I was nothing. It was like I was never wanted around. And right now my older sister, she was like, "What you know, Lincoln?" It's like, well, you're an asshole because she says about the way I am, and that people say I'm crazy or I'm this or I'm that. But see, she's one that says about my oldest son, and she needs to have a look in the mirror. Seriously has to have a look in the mirror. I love her, but you know, she needs to have a look in the mirror instead of saying about how he is, because she acts and talks just the same. But she denied it because, she said that she told my parents when the adoption took place that this was going to happen. At least that's what she told me. She still told me. See, I kept running and going away, not running from my oldest son, but running from my family because I found it difficult to be around him with them around. Our relationship got so bad that he calls me an idiot, calls everyone an idiot right now. Well, if things are the way that I see them to be, because it's like I see what his life was like when I wasn't around. This isn't to put shame on him. It's to say that, I understand why he is the way he is. And I wish that I had brought him up. I really do. So when you have an adoption within the family, especially if the parents are adopting the grandchild, there should never be an adoption. If they're young, guardianship, yes, okay, but not an adoption. And positions shouldn't change because, see, the thing is, I was his biological mother, but my sisters had more say than I ever did. Everything was supposed to be secret. See, my oldest son here in, I believe it was 2019, he got in and got in a really bad accident. And I wasn't called and told that he was rushed to the hospital. Why not? So this past year has been really hard on me, and I've been coming forward with different videos and saying about how frustrated and angry and why I had questions. I had been asking to see the adoption papers since like 2012. And my mother had told me that it was they didn't have the papers, or it was a closed adoption. My sister told me that the lawyer told my mother that she didn't have to show me anything. I asked my father like a few times about it, and I just got like treated like I was the problem. And then here a few weeks ago, I was talking to one of my older sisters, and she was being an asshole about things. And yeah, did I go off on her? You're fucking right, I did. Because she was being an asshole bitch. Because I got tired of people telling me he's not your son. You're fucking right, he's my son. Biologically, he is my son. He grew up knowing that I was his biological mother. And today I was so angry because my mom had a saddle. My dad said he doesn't remember, but my mom had a saddle and she gave it to my uncle. And last time I seen my uncle, he told me that I could have the saddle. So I contacted my aunt, my uncle's wife. She said that I couldn't have the saddle, that the saddle was given to both of them, and that it was meant to be left to their daughter. I wanted the saddle so that I could give it to my oldest son, who it should have actually have gone to. And I have a feeling that that person is watching this video right now because I feel the disdain for me, and I really don't care. See, I couldn't understand why my mom kept running away and going up there, and all she did was spend time with these people, and their child was everything. She left her own family. It's how we all felt, but nobody said anything. Nobody would say anything. And they're probably mad at me right now. I don't care. Because I didn't come on here for them. I came on here for everyone else so that they know that they're not alone in this. When it comes to children and the decisions we make, it has an impact on our lives, whether it just be ourselves or the family itself. Because when my youngest sister would say stuff like that to me, I wanted to drive her from here to Timbuktu. But I wonder now, I look back and I wonder if he even got that gift. The box with the video in it, because I believe it was for his birthday. There was a card in it too. And the video explained everything, my feelings and everything. And it makes me wonder, because where my mom took the letter from me that his biological father wrote me, in the letter he even said that his mother, like I said, he said that his mother had some baby clothes for him. So I have animosity, and I am angry with my mom because she kept running away and going to her brother's family, and it left that part in you feeling like, you know, did our mother love us? So that's a big part of regrets that I have of allowing my mom to adopt him. And then it got worse after with him and I after my mom passed because he before before she passed, he had gone to the province where he went to his biological father's place. He was going up there for a little bit. And then my mom ended up in the hospital. And he came back. And I know he felt like it was his fault that our mom that mom ended up in the hospital. Because myself, I even thought that it was my fault because I found his biological father. But I didn't really do anything wrong because she told him that she would help him. And I know of somebody else who they didn't even know that one of their parents adopted them until they were in their 20s. And then they wouldn't have known, but their aunt told their sister. And it caused disruption in the family. Adoption should not be taken lightly. And if your child is having a child, don't be quick to adopt that child. Don't take that child from her. And don't make her put on the birth certificate father unknown. I don't want that. See, it's like if you look back in the beginning and you hear the story of Uranus and Gaia, okay? And they had Rhea and Cronus. Rhea ended up giving Zeus to Gaia to protect Zeus. So Zeus was Gaia's grandson. Much the same as what this relationship, what this is, was my mother's grandson. And it's like it's showing me because if I was there now, there'd be not a snowball in hell that I would do that again. And some may take offense to this, but you're not the one going through it. It's like they have no idea how many times that I sit and cry, that I sit and just have it out with my mother in spirit. Because this is my demon. And until you're in that position or situation, you have no fucking idea how it feels. And I guarantee what you've done to me, you would not want somebody to do it to you. And I just heard you should have kept your legs closed. And maybe you should fucking shut your trap because maybe you should have kept your legs closed. See, children should not be separated from their parents. It's about helping people be a parent, especially if it's a young teenager. Do you not know that they're having a hard enough time as it is, and you just made it worse for them? I held back for years. Like I was being told that, oh well, we don't know where it's at, or things like that. And then all of a sudden, when I had this blow up there a few weeks ago with my sister, all of a sudden I'm given the adoption papers. It's like when this first started, and I started asking, why wasn't I shown then? Because all you did was fucking torment me. So all I wanted. So that was cruel. Extremely cruel. And you know, like they should be encouraging him and I to have a relationship. But instead, it's like they're still trying to separate us. And I have to ask why? What are you afraid of? Because in ways, I already know what you're afraid of. See, certain things, I don't have to hear it from somebody. I already know the truth. Because when he was told that he could sleep in the he could go sleep in the corner like the dog he is. And others would say, well, she was joking. No, she wasn't joking. You fucking well weren't there and you didn't see what transpired then. I know how he was treated. And it's that part of, seriously, how would you feel if it was you? And don't say it wouldn't be you because you don't know that for sure. Because the same person that likes to say about he's not your son What if it happened to you when you were younger? So my uncle's wife, she was right. It is my demon. And I would really like to know what she meant by my mom shouldn't have done to me what she did. Roseanne. And see, I know who these people are. I know their heart, I know their spirit, and I know their soul. My whole life, I got treated like I didn't belong anywhere. Did I say that I gave my mom and dad the son they never had? You know, lately I've been wondering if I had a twin brother, and he died at 2 when I was told that I got into my dad's drawer and the nerve pills that he had at that time. I was told that I ate them. I was told that I was in a coma for 24 hours. And then I was told that when I got home from the hospital, I was so excited to be home that I fell into the stove. But lately, I keep seeing this image of me being a little toddler, about that age, running around the house, looking under beds and everything, hollering, "Fistifer, Fistifer, where are you, Fistifer, Fistifer?" And then I see myself going up to somebody and asking where Fistifer is. I'm getting pushed back. And I keep wondering if that's why my mom was the way she was, because my mom's behavior was much the same of someone having a loss. So as I feel my way through this, it's like, was she trying? Was this true? And was she trying to replace Christopher? Because right away, when I knew I was pregnant, if it was a boy, it was going to be Chris. It was going to be. Some will say like you shouldn't talk about us on here. Well, a lot of people, maybe they don't know you, or maybe they need to know the true story so that they can understand why I am the way that I am. Maybe why he is the way he is. And I'm proud that my children are like me. Because it means that they're not going to conform. See, I know that, like, when they're playing, when my oldest and my youngest are playing ball, I know that they refer to each other as brothers, but around everybody else, they're supposed to be uncle and nephew. So since my youngest son was little, he would call his older brother his brother uncle. And they never got to have a relationship. So their relationship is rocky. When they should actually be close. So like angry. I have every right. So before you decide that you want to take your child's child from them and change the titles before you do think of the impact that it has on the child and the child of that child. I even went to find out in my mom's records if I had a twin. It's like each part of me has been taken away. My youngest son, he was 5, he was taken away. It's like they get ripped away from you. And that was the justice system and the medical system that did that. Oh shit. Excuse me a minute. Am I in here for attention? No. I'm in here to tell my story, to help others through it, through what they go through, to help them to understand that they're not alone and there are other people that can relate to it. My mom and I, it was like my mom was my best friend. Whenever I'd end up and I have to go to the hospital, my mom would be the one there. If my mom went to the hospital, I'd be the one there because we were a lot alike. We both had kind hearts. We were not happy. We were always wanting to run away, but we never knew why we were running away or where we were running to. We just needed to run. And see, for my parents adopted my oldest son. I had never tried taking my life, but after my parents adopted him, I started to overdose at 16, but I chickened out and I went and told my mom. She took me to the hospital and they gave me activated charcoal. A year later, I was really determined to. And my oldest sister had my oldest son, or my older sister had my oldest son with her when he was like 3. This was before I had my youngest son. Before I even, before this was after my first miscarriage for twins. I had been home and I went and I had like alcohol because I had started drinking after I left home. And I would drink. I would drink to the point where I had alcohol poisoning. So they were gone away, and I was just in my mind, and I didn't want to be around anymore. I had a couple drinks of alcohol, and then I found my mom's pills up in the cupboard, and I had knew that she also had sleeping pills in a suitcase under her bed. So, of the pills that she had in her cupboard, I took about 41 of them. They were potent pills. And then I went in her room and I got all the sleeping pills. She had like 11 or 12 of them. And I took them. And I was the other stuff in the like stuff that said take with food. I took it with food. I vaguely remember this was at 17. I vaguely remember throwing up, like like and taking some and kind of clucking it. And I think my like my older sister come in and she said that she stuck her fingers down my throat, got me and stuck her fingers down my throat, and the dog was trying to eat the stuff. They got the neighbor, 2 of them, I think. She said that I tried to fight like I was almost bit her hand. Well, I mean, if somebody just took an overdose and you're sticking your fingers in their throat, yeah, you're gonna end up biting you. What I remember most was just hearing my oldest son, a 3-year-old toddler, hollering, "Tard, come back. No, Tard, come back. Tard, Tard, come back," because that's what he called me. And my older sister told me that what I was he was running behind the ambulance up the road, going toward me. He was chasing me. And see, that same sister, when we went to, because my mom, the day I went into the hospital, my mom was getting out, but they had a family appointment for my mom, and I went to that. And the same sister that, not the youngest one, but one of the older ones, she told me she shouldn't die. And it's like, I just looked at her and I said, "I didn't ask for your help, did I?" It's like for anybody to say that to their sister who just tried taking their life, you're like, shit, man, you're the one that really needed the help. And that was at 17. And then it was after all this went down, after I after I found my oldest son's biological father. I was on Keppra at the time, and everything was just like haywire. So I took my Keppra and I took a bunch of it, and I went to bed. And boy, oh boy, was I ever pissed off the next morning at 11 o'clock when I woke up. That was around 2010, between 2010, 2011. And then like things were going on and what have you. That's when I left my ex-husband, and that's like things got worse and worse because before before I found my oldest son's biological father, my oldest son was coming into my place all the time. Through the week, he'd come to my place and stay, and they'd go to school. My youngest, they'd go to school together. The kids always came like they always come to my house. I remember the night that my youngest son and my niece was over for the night. This was on a weekend, and I went downstairs and I like heard them horse around. And I told them like, "You guys, okay, it's time to get in bed." And I went upstairs and I could hear them again. I come downstairs and I went down and I looked in the room and I looked under the bed. And both of them were under the bed. And I told them to get up there and get to bed and get to sleep. A little bit later, like I could hear, and what they ended up doing was they thought that they were going to go back under the bottom bunk and hide on me. But the last laugh was on them because they hid under the bed and I didn't come down to the next morning and they fell asleep under the bed. So that was funny, but they always came, and that's when I had a really good like relationship. We play hide and go seek and everything. The house I had, they like my they like we had this a basketball net game, had a hockey game, and like one of those like foosball things that was in our living room. And I mean, it was one of those big, like, when you go to the fair and they had those basketball hoop things where you throw the hoop and it would come down and come back to you. Well, it was like one of those. But Is that part of others in like, an adoption is a big thing, whether you're putting the child up for an adoption or you're the one adopting or they are the adopted child. That's why contraceptive is encouraged if you don't wanna have a child. I was 14 and a half in grade 7, so it's not like was educated. I didn't know anything about contraceptive. After I had him, my mom put me on birth control because prior to me getting pregnant, I went to my mom, and, my sisters will say that mom didn't say that at all, but when I went before I got pregnant, I went to my mom, and I told her I wanted to go on birth control, and her reply was, "Only whores go on the birth control." And I said about my oldest sister being on it, and she said, "Well, that was to regulate her periods." So, do I regret having him? No, because I was meant to have him. It's like, can't say it was a mistake because if I wasn't meant to have him, I wouldn't have ended up pregnant. But I know that I wouldn't do it again. There were people that said that, like, you shouldn't have told community services or child welfare that they shouldn't allow this to go through, that I would be capable, that I would make a good mom because they told me. Adoption is not something that should be like a snap decision. You gotta put a lot of thought into it. Whether you're the one putting up for adoption or the one adopting. And you can't keep it a secret from anyone because that's what destroys a family. And if it's within the family, you should never change the title because, in all honesty, I should never have been left out of it. I know that things wouldn't have went the way that they did had it been done differently. But like I said, and my family might not like me for this, but I do. And they'll say, well, no, there wasn't. But people can make things can be wiped out and made to forget and told different stories. But do I think that I'd be told the truth? No, because I never was told the truth my whole life with regards to stuff. I've just been left out of everything. And I should never have been left out of anything with my oldest son. And my sisters having more say over him than me. So I really don't think he got the CD or the box. I almost think he doesn't even know about it because I explained everything in it. Because I had regret, big time. And the only person that I would talk to about is my ex-husband. And I just wish my mom had made things right. Because it's like you lose a piece of you, even if they're right there. So it's like a death over and over and over and over again because you're so close but so far away. So please, before you make that decision, really sit with it because it's life changing, whether it be in that moment or later down the road, because that child or that parent is going to want to find that person again. Even brothers or sisters are going to want to find them because they're going to want to meet them because it's part of them too. And if you're not honest with them from the start, it's going to tear your family apart. And it's going to be hard to repair it. So, with that being said, I'm sending you all much love, light, many blessings, most importantly, very good health to anyone and everyone wanting, willing to receive and accept. I want you all to be big, bold, brave. Most importantly, be yourself, be your authentic self, be true to yourself and others, be kind to yourself and others, and know that you have more strength than you can comprehend at times. Before making decisions of any kind, sit with it and really look at it before making any decision. Because every choice we make, it has an impact on our lives. Send you all up. Whatever you consider